The Mpumalanga ANC Treasurer Mandla Msibi is in hot waters yet again. The governing party in the province has suspended Msibi over claims that he tried to sabotage the party's 112th birthday rally at the Mbombela stadium last week. Msibi allegedly tried to stop ANC supporters from attending the rally. His supporters have taken to the streets over his suspension, accusing some senior party members of trying to silence Msibi. For analysis on this story, we're joined now by Dr. Nsizwazonke Yende from the University of Mpumalanga. Dr. Yende, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time. As the ANC suspends Mandla Msibi, of course, that suspension comes with accusations that he has vehemently denied. As we try and piece the story together, I mean, on one end, the story speaks in great depth with what I read in the Sunday Times, with the sources there saying that all of this could be over a facility that Msibi wants funds to, and the ANC does not have those funds to boost that project. But when it comes to this matter, he's denied it completely. How do we begin to interpret this reaction?
I think one of the things, firstly, good morning to you as well as the viewers at home. I think one of the things that we have to take into account is the seriousness of the allegations that have been leveled against Mandla Msibi, because to disrupt the 112th birthday of the ANC, I think it's a serious matter, thinking that perhaps it could have been dealt with at the national level by the National Executive Committee of the ANC, because you look at how the allegation has been leveled. Again, you realize that these allegations are very serious against Mandla Msibi. Now, to be referred again to the provincial level or to be dealt at the provincial level, again, it also raises eyebrows, within also with the ANC itself, as well as what can be interpreted as, the politicking within the ANC itself at the provincial level, looking at how, the ANC now, they are in positions of trying to, interviewing people that will be the candidates of the mayor, again, for sort of the premier for Mpumalanga. So again, it also brings those things in terms of politicking as well as the internal, battles within the ANC at the provincial level.
How are factions coming out again in terms of being at the forefront at a very crucial time for the ANC? Because I'd recall that President Ramaphosa had urged delegates to consider how it was that Msibi was in fact elected, despite charges against him, attempted murder, charges which he denies himself. But that question was brought to the forefront. And now this. How are factions at play here?
Yeah, they will always be at play. I mean, looking at if the President Ramaphosa would say that Mandla Msibi was elected, that might also come as if he's supporting Mandla Msibi. But again, I mean, we look at how the ANC has been and the factions that are always within the ANC, particularly when it comes to some of the issues as well as the positions that are there in the party, especially, critical positions like being a premier. So those are some of the things that will always, creep in. And then now you get into see how, the issue has been, the suspension, which can also, or which some might view as, it's part of the politicking within the ANC and the fighting within the ANC that continue to prevail always, when it comes to issues, of governance, particularly within the ANC. So I think it comes to play, the issue of faction, because if you look at how, the portfolio that Mandla Msibi has, being the Minister of Culture, basically it allows him to, be at the center of local government. And being at the center of local government, you look at where, the issue they are saying that they are suspending him for. It was in a township in Pinari, which is constantly, engulfed with issues of violent protests, that emanate as issues of service delivery. So perhaps he understands the frustration, that local people at the township where they were, they are usually faced with. Hence, I would say that these are some, of the issues that can be taken into account as you are trying to unpack this whole issue of Mandla Msibi.
With the ANC quite bullish about winning Mpumalanga despite some of the glaring losses, how imperative will it be to handle this matter and tread cautiously with elections around the corner, as well as the sort of power and backing that Msibi has behind him, because his supporters have already come out crying foul.
Yeah, and I think they need to be very careful in terms of dealing with this. In fact, the entire ANC, now there is no time for them to be, fighting against themselves, fighting against each other. This is the time for the ANC to try and support each other. Not that they have to support each other when there are, issues that they have to deal with as an organization, but they ought to support each other in issues, that they see that it might divide the organization. We have seen, that there are a lot of provinces that will be contested in these upcoming elections. So one of them, it will be Mpumalanga, indeed, it will be contested. So the ANC, they ought to ensure that they rebuild themselves and re-establish themselves within the province, such that they are able to contain everyone and every member. They will need everyone, because this might be what we can call the final elections of the ANC. If they survive this one, now it will be something else, but it will be very difficult. So they ought to support each other, and they also need to, even if there are factions, even if there are issues within the ANC, there has to be dealt with internally without taking them into public, such that people out there can see that there is division within the ANC. I think this is the time that they will have to try and sort issues out internally and ensure that they are able to address all the issues that might affect them going to the elections.
But we know that this is not the first time the organization has suspended Msibi. This happened in 2022 following the murder and attempted murder allegations. Considering that aspect and also trying to be in line with the principles that Ramaphosa is trying to, lobby in terms of transparency and ensuring that the ANC is seen as an organization which is transparent and really working for the people, how much consideration will need to be made on that end, because this is not the first time the party is dealing with this member?
Yes, I think the character of Mandla Msibi, it speaks very volumes, the character that he has, the charges that he had on the matter charges. But one of the things that you might level and raise is that, yes, indeed, there were due processes that were followed, and now the charges were withdrawn. So now, as you look in terms of that, you will also say that he went through the processes and it was found that after the charges were withdrawn, that gives him a right as the citizen of South Africa that he can run, or he can run for any position, because there are no charges even within the constitution of the ANC, even within the step aside rule of the ANC. So he did step aside, but he came back because all the charges have been withdrawn. So those are some of the things that also ought to be taken into account, that indeed the processes within the ANC, they also have to be transparent, and people have to feel confident within the ANC. And now, all those things, they have to be, even if they are doing them, but they have to do them in such a way that, yes, transparency is maintained, accountability is maintained, but also not discredit each other in the processes. They try to ensure that they maintain issues of transparency, they maintain issues of accountability, and they bring back the confidence of the people within the party and the organization.
Mpumalanga's been seen as the ANC stronghold, and with all this back and forth happening, do you think it will have an impact at all on the ANC continuing to make strides in that province and dominating, or is there some concerns around the infighting and the impact and the ripple effect it may have on the ANC making strides come election time?
Yeah, I think the ANC, of course, the ANC will have issues in Mpumalanga, not only in Mpumalanga, in different provinces, but focusing on Mpumalanga, I don't think that they will maintain their stronghold, but they will not receive as the many votes as they used to. Perhaps you might expect them to reach up to 60 or between 65 and below. It can't go beyond that, because you look at how many people in Mpumalanga have been disgruntled by the ANC. Many people in the province have not been happy with the ANC and how services has been rendered to them. You look at some of the protests that have been happening in Mpumalanga. If you look at some of the issues that have been happening in Mpumalanga, the government seemed to be not intact with Mpumalanga, and I was quite impressed by the majority, or by how the ANC itself managed to fill up Mbombela, but also taking into account that they've worked very hard. So it's still have to work very hard. It's not going to be, the Bafana as usual approach where they just, win the province with the larger majority. They will have to work for the province, and they will have to ensure that they work their journeys together as members of the ANC, and they are able, to move forward as an organization. Because if they continue with, the infighting among themselves, that will also discredit the ANC, because now, as they will be delivering their manifesto, they ought to ensure that they cover all the basics, they cover all the ground again, to ensure that they are able to maintain some of the provinces that they might lose, and some of the provinces such as Mpumalanga, which will be highly contested in these upcoming elections.
Very well. Thank you so much for your time there, Dr. Nsizwazonke Yende, lecturer, development studies and political analyst there, just weighing in on the latest moves following that disciplinary action that's set to take place against the suspended provincial treasurer in Mpumalanga, Mandla Msibi.